Title: The Mountain That Never Moved. The dreamer. There was a young boy named Max who had big dreams. Dreams of being a famous artist, of creating masterpieces that would be seen all over the world. But there was one problem. Max lived in a small town where everyone worked on farms, and art wasn't seen as something you could build a life on. People would tell him, dreams are for the city, not for people like us. Max's heart sank every time someone said that. He knew he was different, but he wondered, what if they're right? The impossible mountain. One day, Max decided he wanted to see the world beyond his town. He packed a small bag, gathered some paint supplies, and headed for the mountains. The townspeople laughed, saying the mountains were impossible to climb and that he should turn back. But Max kept walking, his determination stronger than the doubts in his mind. For days, Max climbed higher and higher, facing steep cliffs, freezing nights, and exhausting days. The journey was harder than he ever imagined. Every time he felt like giving up, he'd hear the voice of the townspeople in his mind, telling him to turn around. But Max refused. He knew that to achieve something great, he couldn't just take the easy path. The turning point. One morning, after a particularly rough night of stormy weather, Max found himself at the foot of the highest peak of the mountain. He looked up and felt a wave of exhaustion hit him. The top seemed impossible to reach. But then he remembered something his grandmother once told him. Mountains don't move for anyone, Max. But you can climb them. So, Max took one more step. Then another. Slowly, one foot in front of the other, until, finally, he reached the top. And as he stood there, out of breath but triumphant, he realized something. The view was more breathtaking than anything he had ever imagined. The unexpected discovery at the top, Max saw something even more incredible. A hidden valley, untouched by time, filled with wildflowers in every color imaginable. Inspired by the beauty of this hidden place, Max pulled out his paints and began to create. He painted the valley, the mountains, and the sky in all their glory. As the sun set, Max realized that the journey was never just about the destination. It was about what he learned along the way. How each step, each challenge, made him stronger, braver, and more determined. The return. When Max finally returned to his town, he didn't come back with just his paints or stories of the mountains. He came back with a new perspective on life. He set up his easel in the town square and began to paint, not just for fame, but because he loved it. People from his town gathered around, amazed at the beauty he had captured. It wasn't long before Max's art spread beyond his small town, just as he had always dreamed. He may not have become a world-famous artist overnight, but the joy and fulfillment he felt were far more meaningful than any title or accolade. The legacy. Years later, Max became known not just for his art, but for his unwavering belief in following your dreams, no matter how impossible they seem. The mountain that once seemed so insurmountable had become a symbol of what happens when you don't give up, even when the world tells you to. Life is full of mountains, big dreams, tough challenges, and moments when it seems like success is out of reach. But if you keep going, step by step, you'll discover that the journey itself transforms you. And one day, when you reach the top, you'll realize that the impossible was just the first step to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Moral of the story: the mountain doesn't move for you. But if you keep climbing, you'll move mountains of your own.